Good evening. It is 6:30 p.m., February 8th, 2022. This is the time and date for the Northern Lebanon School District Board of Directors meeting. I call this meeting to order. Director Bucks, would you lead us in the flag salute and a moment of silence? Mrs. Martin, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Bucks,
Here.
England,
Here.
Fowler,
Here.
Tazinski,
Here.
Murray,
Here.
Klein,
Here.
Marlowe,
Here.
Erdman,
Here.
Nom,
Here.
all board members present.
Great, thank you. Moving to item 2 of our agenda. This is the adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
I make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda is adopted. Moving to item 3 of the agenda, this is our presentations. I'd like to announce that the high school students of the month for February are Abigail Boyanowski and Lauren Wartlift. This award is sponsored jointly by the Fredericksburg and Jonestown Lions Clubs, and each recipient will be recognized at a future meeting of the Lions Club. The middle school student of the month for February is Leah Almer. This award is sponsored by the Northern Lebanon County Rotary Club, and the recipient will be recognized at a future meeting of the Rotary Club. Congratulations to those students. Very well done. We have Student Board Representative Alex Selby. Do you have a report for us?
So the student council is going to buy donuts for the custodians and maintenance as a thank you to them because we really appreciate them. We're having the King of Hearts dance this Saturday. And we're having the court raise money for the mini-thon, and all profits will go to them. And student council students are also going to be attending a leadership conference on March 11th at Red Lion High School with Ms. Zemba acting as an advisor, and also Ms. Albright.
Great, thank you. Good report. We have a presentation, special education audit, Mrs. Bassick-Jones.
Good evening. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Kelly Bassick-Jones. I'm the Director of Pupil Services, and I'm happy to briefly update you tonight on the results of our special education department compliance monitoring. So I'm sure everyone has a wealth of knowledge on what that looks like. So I'm going to give you a tiny bit of background. Every 5 years, special education departments in Pennsylvania are monitored by the Bureau of Special Education. Due to COVID-19 pandemic, we were actually 6 years that it took between the monitorings. And that consists of several activities that our department participated in. So the first activity, we did surveys for students, parents, and our teaching staff. We received really great, useful feedback as a result of these surveys that will help us to continue to grow our department. So if you filled out a survey, I do thank everybody who participated in those. The next part is called the Facilitated Self-Assessment. I'm going to refer to it as the FSA. This is an extensive report with 23 different topics that detail the services we provide for students with disabilities. And then we also go over some of our special education data in areas such as graduation, dropout rate, trainings that we do with students, teachers, parents, and then some of our policies and procedures. There's a really good opportunity for me personally to really review our data extensively and begin to outline what the next few years for our department look like. The next part is the educational benefit review. And for our staff, thank you. This is one of the most important activities you can do as any type of educator. So special education, general education. You take a deeper look into a student's progress within their individualized education plan. So you look at 3 years of IEPs and you review 10 files. So we did all 10. And there were 5 teams of 3. And each team had an administrator, a general education teacher, and a special education teacher. We did find one IEP that needed correction. It was for a student who is serviced out of district, but we've already done that. We've already corrected the IEP. And our staff really found that day to be useful, including general education teachers. So over the summer, we're hoping to do that with our special education staff, have them take a student and go over the 3 years of IEPs to see if that student has met educational benefit. And then finally, Merry Christmas to us. From December 13th through 23rd, our special education monitor was here, and there were 2 peer reviewers that come in. So what they do is they randomly choose 10 student files. You get the names about 2 weeks ahead of time. And they come on site to review paperwork compliance and then conduct observations of the students within the classrooms. Then they do interviews with a special education teacher, a general education teacher, and the parent. So they're looking to ensure that paperwork is in compliance and is completed in a timely manner, and that the services outlined in the document meet the students' needs. So where does that leave us? How did we do? It left us in a really great position. I've done 3 monitorings throughout my time, and this was by far the best one. We were prepared, and with the help of our amazing staff, everything went smoothly. The monitors have a checklist of things that they're looking for, and they simply say, yes, they saw it, no, they didn't see it, or not applicable. There are 1,800 yeses and nos on that document, and we only had 10 nos. That's outstanding for our department. And I'm really proud of the work that we've accomplished since I started 2 years ago, but also the work that was done prior to my arrival. So some areas that we're going to be working on in the next couple of years, we have about a year to do improvement plans. We have to look at graduation and dropout rates, the least restrictive environment, which means ensuring that students are educated with their peers to the greatest extent possible, parent training, and then just the percentage of students we have receiving special education services. So on February 28th, the Bureau comes out, as well as Patton and the IU13, and we just start to create our improvement plans in these areas. It's an exciting time for our department moving forward. We're in a good position with our paperwork and the services we've been able to provide so far. I'm looking forward to doing parent trainings and any additional resources for our staff to continue to work successfully with students with disabilities. I'm weirdly looking forward to the improvement plans and just ensuring that our students continue to receive a free, appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment. Thank you.
Yeah, Kelly, I just want to publicly thank you and your team for the hard work. The guy was singing praises as he was here. I got the pleasure of sitting in on, was it 1 or 2? I know 1. Do we have 2 sessions or, yeah. And he just went on and on and on. And to only have 10 areas where, you know, we had some minor things out of 1,800 is just fantastic. So great job to you guys. So appreciate that.
Yes, thank you for the great report. Really do appreciate it. Is there any old business for this meeting? Hearing none. Dr. Messinger, I guess we'll move to public comment. I'm sorry.
I think you skipped me.
Oh, did I? I did. I'm sorry.
That's
That was
okay.
not intentional.
Yeah, well, if there's something you want to add to the agenda.
No, I did not intend to skip the superintendent's report, Dr.
That's okay.
Messinger.
That's all right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I asked Brad a few minutes ago if he could, he has been, and I just want to give him some credit too. This construction has really taken a lot of the decisions and a lot of we get email after email after email at all times of the week, weekends, nights, you know, and he is constantly on top of it. And so I'm going to get him involved in starting to give us some updates about where we are with things. And I don't know that a ton has changed, but if you want to just give us a brief
No,
update.
but I will throw the compliment back to you. You did decide what color lights we were getting. So
Yes,
that's
I believe I also chose the toilet handles in the bathrooms.
Well, I mean, as you can see, the footers and groundwork continues at the elementary plot. They're really heavy into the footer and soil work is mostly over, as you know, based on the change order that's before the board this evening. They are into area D, which is the district office area. That's the last section that they need to do soil prep for the building. And that's moving along. We got a report today that that's progressing in a positive way. We thought last week that it may not be, but things seem to have turned around in that area. The other work that's ongoing is stuff that you probably won't see ever again. It's the underground utilities. So things like the sewer pipe, the electric conduit, the supply plumbing. Under the building work is being done at this time. So you'll see areas where they're digging where they put stone in so that they can lay the piping or conduit to supply those utilities. I believe, although I don't have it confirmed, Gary, maybe you know, I believe our cut into the water line for the water supply for the building is in place. So, you know, some of the bigger milestone things are happening in a relatively fast pace. I know we're waiting on Med Ed for certain numbers to be able to order certain parts. There's a little hold up there. If we change our focus over to this side of the street and we look at what's going on down at the football field, you'll notice that the away bleachers are gone. The shade building and concession stand are all gone. They've been leveled. We're waiting now the 8th or 9th. So by the end of this week, Met Ed will be out to remove certain poles that were in place that previously supplied electricity to the concession building and the field lights and everything. They need to be removed out of the way so that the excavator can come in and start moving earth to get us to a level that they can start pouring footers over on this side of the street. So that's a really brief summary. I hope I didn't bore you.
Okay, and the other part of my report tonight is just a report on our goals and where we are with those. So just to go back and kind of give a recap, last summer we voted on our long-range plan. From the time we approved that, we sat as an administrative team and we went through the goals that we currently have. And we chose several to focus on for this year. As you think about this coming up, now that we have the plan in place, one of the things we'd like to do in a workshop this spring is to actually get the board's input on goals for next year prior to administration meeting, and then also start to convey those to teachers. And I'll talk a little bit about that as I go through this. I started out, Kirk, if you go to the first slide, just reminding everyone that in that long-term plan, we created a new vision statement to inspire today and equip for tomorrow. And that's something that, we're tasked with keeping that in mind as we choose our goals and we talk about our activities to fulfill those goals. And then our mission statement, which is to provide a learning environment that empowers our students to discover and pursue their educational interests and prepare them with solid academic skills to achieve their aspirations and make a positive impact in their communities. And I don't think that can happen too often that we might remind ourselves about what our vision statement and mission statement are. So that we just have those in the back of our minds as we make decisions as a district. So I took the opportunity to put them there. I also took the opportunity to list our 7 goals. And we obviously, you do not want as an organization to decide on an annual basis to have 7 goals as a district. It's too much to focus on. But we do have these goals as a guide for us. The first one focuses on our vision. The second one focuses on how we allocate resources. That includes money and staff, et cetera. The third one talks about communication and establishing two-way communication. The fourth one talks about beneficial partnerships with local businesses. And just to give you an example, while that wasn't one of our focal points this year, for instance, Mr. Reese and I just had breakfast with 4 or 5 folks from Bell and Evans and to hear their ideas for the future. And they are expanding like crazy. And so some opportunities possibly there in the future for us that we'll talk about down the road. Number 5 talks about our standards aligned curriculum and assessments. Number 6 talks about our instructional strategies. And then finally, number 7 talks about continuous improvement, continually learning, continually looking for feedback on how to do things better. And then that focus of data and student achievement goals as well. If we talked about leadership, having continuous improvement, and then also talking to our kids about that, about growth, rather than it's okay. Maybe they didn't hit the mark that their peer hit, but they showed growth, and that's okay. So as we sat in the summer and we talked about where we wanted to start, we chose, you'll see goal 1, which also happens to be our long-range goal 1. And that's the promotion of the vision statement to all stakeholders. We felt we needed to start with that. As we developed this plan, now we need to share it. We've done that in a lot of ways. I'm sure that if you asked a random person questions about it, they probably couldn't answer. And so we have to continue to come back and revisit this. Some of the indicators of success that stood out to us for this first year, taken from the plan, was that it's prominent on the website. We do have it on the website. We've started putting it even into our leadership meetings, our vision statement. And then I've put a link with our goals, and we have our leadership meetings there to remind us about what those are. Letterhead, which we haven't done yet. And I highlighted these because we've done portions of them at least. And then we also shared all of this in our Due North publication, which, as you might remember, goes to everyone in the community, not just our parents, not just, our families of our students, but to everyone in the community, assuming the post office delivers them. Also, we have our annual goals established from a review of the vision statement and referenced at the mid-year and end of year updates. So that's what we did at the beginning. We reviewed this and we established goals, and now we're talking about them mid-year, and then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more at the end of the year. If you look at breaking that down a little bit further and specific action steps, some things that we've done, some things that we've considered and potentially we'll still get to. Share the vision statement with stakeholders through social media, through the website, through Due North, as I mentioned. We have not yet switched over our paper products. We're using up our old stuff first. I think we're getting ready to start heading toward the new things, but that's something that we haven't done. The other thing that we didn't get a chance to do is really because of the timing. This year, toward the end of end of the school year, we want to get that feedback from the board and start to share with our staff, hey, this is what we're thinking about for next year, particularly as they're planning their trade days. So if we have a specific focus, then they can think about that too for their own professional development over the course of a summer. So hope to do that in the spring here. We haven't done that. We didn't get a chance to do that last because of the timing of everything. So when I highlight the next one, I say established district, and with that we did, but we didn't get to the building and personal goals so much. We do have goals for secondary and elementary, but those will be pieces we add, and those are obviously based on the long range plan. Share the progress, which is what we're doing tonight and what we'll do again at the end of the year. SLOs, if you know anything about SLOs, those are specific data goals that our teachers need to set. There's been those have not been an emphasis with the state the last few years due to COVID. So that's something also that we can tie in, particularly in the areas of instruction and assessment. However, we haven't done that and probably won't until they fully implement those down the road here. I'm assuming they'll be back next year, but we'll see. We did do SLOs this year, but it took us, oh boy, Brad, remind me, it was in the fall till we even knew for sure if we were going to do them. So it came very late. As far as goal 2 for us, which happens to be long range goal number 5, we really wanted to dig into the curriculum and assessments. We spent some time, if you look at the indicators of success, we didn't develop the assessments yet. However, the secondary has been hard at work at developing assessments in their professional development this year. In elementary, we didn't have to. We had some things that we were going to try to use that we already had in place. We're going to check those out first rather than reinvent the wheel, and see if they give us the information we're looking for. So we have begun implementation and we have begun analyzing them at the elementary. At the secondary, we are developing them. So two different places for the two different levels. We do have, and we've talked to you about the curriculum cycle. And depending on where teachers are in that cycle, you're looking at the resources, you're looking at the curriculum for updates, you're looking at the assessments, and you're providing that feedback to your department chairs or the head of the curricular departments on an annual basis. And each year you progress through the cycle on a 5-year cycle. So we were able to develop that as well. If you think about specific smaller action steps, at the high school, secondary level, I should say, we met with the departments, talk about what common assessments exist. We've begun to create those, looking at the final exams, unit chapter tests, everything right now, we're kind of analyzing to determine if it's consistent between teachers and specific departments. And certainly at the elementary level, trying to become consistent there. We've done assessment work in all of those subject areas. We've developed an assessment schedule and tentative calendar, and that calendar includes several different types of tests that we really haven't spent a good deal of time talking about in the past, but we now have a diagnostic test. To think about it from a diagnostic standpoint, what that does is it tells you a child's grade level. So if I took it, it would probably be, 3rd grade, maybe halfway through the year. If Stacy took it, it'd probably be college level, something like that. So, but it gives you an idea where that student is in terms of grade level. But then a benchmark test is different. A benchmark test measures if you've mastered the standards or mastered the curriculum. So if you think about, again, a 3rd grade student, what math standards do they need to master for Pennsylvania? That's what a benchmark test tells us. You could have a kid who's above grade level, a 3rd grader who tests on a diagnostic at a 4th grade level because they know a lot of advanced skills, but don't test well on a benchmark test. So we have two responsibilities. We have to grow the child and allow them to go, we want them to go at least a grade level, if not more, but we also have to make sure they're mastering the concepts that they're supposed to learn in that grade level. So two different types of tests that we've begun implementing. And then finally, a universal screener. You can think of a universal screener as the lights on your car dashboard. Something's wrong, and you have to do something about it. And you may need to dig deeper to find out what that is. But a universal screener is something we can give to our kids in a short period of time. And, I didn't do so well on that. We may need to look a little bit harder and see where their problems lie and if we need to provide intervention, or ultimately maybe we need to do more evaluation. So we've developed that. Those are in place at the elementary level. As you get to the secondary level, it's more about the benchmarks than the others. But like I said, we're working on those too. We are giving those assessments. We have some of it in Ed Insight. If you look down there at the second to last bullet, however, not enough that I felt comfortable highlighting that as something we've accomplished yet. Ed Insight is, I'm meeting with the elementary principals on Monday, Valentine's Day, to look at Ed Insight to try to get the rest of our assessments in there so that we have that information in the data warehouse. And then the principals also have spent some time talking about expectations for our data meetings. We want them running those meetings. Certainly we want the reading specialists involved in them, but we want our administrators to play a little bit larger role there. And we want some consistency. So Melissa and Lee and Chuck have been meeting to talk about what those look like, and they're making strides with that. And finally, our goal number 3 that we focused on, which is our long-range plan goal number 6, in talking about monitoring the effectiveness and instructional strategies and programs. If you look at, again, in our indicators of success, I feel like we're in the process of hopefully accomplishing. Evaluated to identify strengths and weaknesses in relation to student achievement. So this data, the data that we get in our data warehouse are going to give us more information than what we've had in the past about our student achievement, and it's not just based on PSSA. Also talk about how resources will be allocated. And, I just want to bring that up because that's a separate goal, but we put it in here because of instruction as well. And, you would say, I think if I asked the board, hey, are we doing that from a budgetary standpoint? You'd probably say no. However, in a discussion with Director Nam, I did say, well, you know what? We weren't budgeting any money for textbooks. We now have $150,000 a year geared to textbooks. We weren't doing due north to get the information out to the community at all. We had nothing going to the community other than if you were part of social media. We budgeted for that. Our data warehouse, which we had, but we weren't using it properly. And we had some discussions. Do we continue to utilize this? Well, yeah, I think we do. I think we keep money in there because I think that's something that's going to help us. And the addition of using IXL as a diagnostic. So there is money earmarked towards some very specific things that help us accomplish our goals. But I don't know that I don't think we've highlighted them in our budget presentation. So as we do our budget presentation this year, and we talk about how anything additional, will be geared toward the goals. And then walkthroughs also focusing conversations on teacher building and district goals. I still think this is tough. We have administrators sharing different buildings, but I know that they're definitely talking about this and how to do this effectively. And I think they're more frequent than they were, but I think we have room for growth there. Probably always will. Specific action steps, again, breaking it down, and a little more information there about walkthroughs, which I highlighted. Eureka and looking for consistency as this is our first year, and looking as teachers implement that in their classrooms. They are working currently on a look for document for walkthroughs to share with teachers so that over the summer we can give this to teachers and say, hey, when we come into your room, this is actually what we're looking for. And so they have that information rather than, we like to go in. I like to visit Mrs. Long's class because she bakes me cookies. Well, it's been a while now, but occasionally I get cookies. I get Oreos sometimes. So, so they have an idea of what to look for. And then those grade level meeting expectations. One of the things we've been trying to do is get teachers to meet as grade levels as well, to look at their data and, hey, my kids are really good at this and really bad at this, and your kids are really good at the area, my kids are really bad. What are you doing differently than I'm doing? And start to have those discussions. I think down the road, there's some other areas there too, looking at the standards-based grading and report cards. I think there's some more professional development in that area that we can do. And our professional development as a whole, just to continue to tie it to, what our goals are and what we're trying to accomplish. So definitely have been working toward those goals. I would say at this point, there's a few areas maybe that we've accomplished, but most areas are still in progress. And as the year goes on, hopefully we can say at the end, hey, we've got a few of these done. I don't expect an entire goal to be accomplished in a year. I will tell you that from the beginning. Some goals I think will continue to be goals. Communication in an organization needs to be focused on all the time because things can slip through the cracks if you're not careful. And so that will probably be a goal forever. But in general, happy with the progress. We've definitely gotten some things accomplished. And I think we've done it with some transition, obviously bringing in a new elementary principal this year, was one of those. But overall, I'm pleased with the progress. That was a lot. Questions for me? Anything?
Good update. Thanks.
Okay, that's the end of my report.
Great report. Sorry, I passed you over there.
That's okay.
I had written down all of my notes from Alex and Kelly on your portion there, and so I just assumed it was covered, but it wasn't. Excellent report. It really reflects a lot of progress from where we were, even a year ago. Really good. Thank you. We've already covered old business and public comment due to my error. So we will move on to items for board action. Should be noted that public notice was given for this meeting in accordance with Act 84 of 1986. Item 8 is the consent agenda. This was established at our committee meeting last week. Unless any director has any questions about the consent agenda, I will receive a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
Motion to adopt the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda is passed. We'll move on to the items for discussion. Agenda item number 9.
Yeah, we have 9.1, and that's a discussion. We talked a little bit last week about the house over by Jonestown. And I sent a picture of kind of the problem with that plot is it's surrounded by Jonestown. You have Jonestown Elementary, you have the parking lot, and then you have the land to the south as well. And the plot's right smack dab in the middle. And so from a sales standpoint, going back to that comparative market analysis, that it may be land that whoever buys the other might want that as at this point. So, that would be, I think, the concern that they had is probably my biggest concern, Leanne, probably your biggest concern. But, for open to discussion on that, someone had brought up, is it worth the trouble of renting it for a year and a half? I don't think that Leanne and I are going to complain if we don't have to worry about it. At the same time, we do have someone in line that's willing to manage it. And it would be a limited period of time. We'd have to tell them, you're going to get about a year there, and then that's about it. So open to discussion on whether or not we want to, I guess it would be, are you interested in selling it? Are you interested in renting it, or just want to let it sit for now until we sell the other property?
So before we go to a motion, is there any questions for Dr. Messinger?
Oh, and I apologize. We had a misunderstanding. We were going to try to get some pictures of the inside. I don't know that would have helped you, but it's not a mansion inside. And so I think the estimated rental costs we actually got the number from 2 different places. The person who did the comparative market analysis was around 1,100 to 1,200, and then they said 1,250. It's not in bad shape, but it's also not, it's not a brand new house either. So it's a very small kitchen, bathrooms. And if it's contingent upon that, we will get those. We just had a misunderstanding today, but yeah.
I was waiting for those pictures.
I'm sure you were. I'm sure you were. We could drive over and take a tour.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Last week when I asked about putting this on discussion as a discussion topic, it was really because I didn't understand how that was laid out. Once you look at the plots, I just wonder, how did that house get there like that? So it does not make sense to sell it on its own, in my opinion, right now, which is what, maybe I first thought might be the case. I would also say that it may not be worth it to spend the time to try to manage this, even having someone else manage it while we're getting ready to sell that property. So I don't have a strong opinion on that either way, other than I think not selling that by itself makes a lot of sense, seeing all the other properties that surround it.
I guess the question I have is it worth the hassle? If you do the math on the amount of rent we might receive over the course of 20 months or whatever it might be, before we ideally sell the entire property, is it worth the hassle from an administrative standpoint to interact with a property management company to do whatever it takes to invest in the maintenance of the property? Is it worth, the phrase I use is, is the juice worth the squeeze on this?
Wow, that's a really loaded question about your juice there. I mean, we're probably looking at in a year, $12,000. I don't think it'll be that much work for us to get appliances and everything in there. There's a lot of things that we do that probably aren't worth the hassle. I'm happy to add this one to the list. So.
Ms. Martin, did you say last week that the only investment that we foresee in order to get this ready for rent is $1,500 for a refrigerator? Is that?
And a range, yes. And I think we could get both of them in for that price. We are not going to buy top of the line. They're not getting stainless steel.
Right, right. But that's all we foresee having to invest before we can put this out for rent.
Correct.
Then in dollars, it makes sense.
Correct.
Sure.
And I believe Mason said that they already even have the electric. They went over and they did that already. So the electric power is there that we would need for the range that they needed to change up. So it's just a matter of getting those appliances in. Hopefully they're not in short, they're easy to find. And Slate House property would come in and they would manage doing the open houses, getting the tenant in and handling all of that for us.
Great, thanks.
You and I did a great job of selling the house, so.
Are there any other questions regarding the property? Okay, is there a motion to approve the rental of the district-owned house at 152 South King Street in Jonestown?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? I guess one other point that I would like to note is that I'm a little nervous about marketing the entire property to a company or to a business that might be looking at terminating a residential lease agreement or potential eviction. I think that that's a risk that we face that may reduce the likelihood of getting a good candidate to purchase the entire plot. I don't know that that's enough for me to say no, but it is a concern that I have as we attempt to market that Jonestown property going forward. Any other discussion? Yeah. Okay, we will do a roll call vote on the items for discussion. Mrs. Martin, could we please have that?
Yes. England. Lawler,
Yes.
Jazinski,
Yes.
Murray,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Marlowe,
Yes.
Erdman,
Yes.
Nom,
Yes.
Bucks,
Yes.
all in favor, motion passed.
Great, thank you. We'll move to item 9.2.
Before I go there, anybody want to rent the house?
Point of order, you would not be able to.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we have a job description. I want to, the job description and improving the job description does not necessarily mean that we go this route. However, I would be curious on your feedback. I sent an email about the job description. Obviously, with a maintenance person leaving, there are some districts that have an HVAC mechanic specifically there as a maintenance person. It is probably in the $19 to $20 range. It's a very specified set of skills. Whereas right now we're starting around 16. Our person that's leaving was around 18, 19. So it's similar to what they were getting paid. However, it saves the cost of bringing in NRG, right, to do what they currently are doing, which we're paying over $100,000 annually for them to do. One, and secondly, we have the job description set up in a way that when they're not doing HVAC, which I'm not sure how much of the time that is, but when they're not doing HVAC, they're expected to help with snow removal. They're expected to help with, mowing the grass and groundskeeping and those kinds of things. So we're not going to just say, if you don't have HVAC, you're not going to do anything, but they would have that specific skill set so that when we need things serviced, then we're buying the parts, but not necessarily having the annual contracts that are very costly. So definitely something that I think we we should pursue. It starts with the approval of this, and then if there's any feedback on, we can post and see if we get a good applicant as well. But so I guess any discussion on either one of those, the job description or the future there would be great.
Any questions from the board? Is there a motion to approve the job description for the HVAC maintenance technician?
I make a motion to approve the job description.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Mrs. Martin, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Baller,
Yes.
Tazinski,
Yes.
Murray,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Marlowe,
Yes.
Erdman,
Yes.
Nom,
Yes.
Bucks.
Yes.
England.
Yes.
All in favor, motion pass.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to item 10. This is the information items.
Just a list of LVC students and their assignments for the spring semester.
Great. Item 11, reports of representatives. Change order committee, Director Bucks, anything to report?
Our last meeting was last week. We had 3 small change orders on there. One was we needed another utility pole. One actually saved us money, so there was some reimbursement. The depth of the interior footers was being reduced, and that was because of all of the stone they had to bring in from the bad soil. And the last one was with, I can't remember the details, something about chassis. We needed a modification, or does anybody recall what that was? Oh. I remember they were minimal. They explained it at the time, but that part is escaping me. But it was a relatively easy, smallish, yeah. But that was it.
Great, thank you. Move to the CTC, Director Klein.
All right. Yeah, I have 2 things for you tonight. The first thing I wanted to kind of celebrate with our Lebanon County Career Technology Center was they recently had a Skills USA competition where there were 23 different events, and our Lebanon County Career Technology Center got first place in 16 out of the 23 events. And it was competing against other counties such as Dauphin, Adams, Columbia. So they did a really good job representing our county, and that's pretty awesome. The other thing I wanted to bring up, and this might be a little late because the local media got a hold of some of this news, but NASA has a program that they allowed schools to apply for this project to build components for the International Space Station, and we applied, and we're part of this program now, and NASA is holding Zoom meetings with our students at their Career Technology Center. They're providing them blueprints and materials to make some kind of guardrail, because there's no gravity in space, so they need to hang on to different things. So our students here in our county are part of this larger project for NASA, and these parts are going to be used on an International Space Station. So that's pretty cool. And that's all I got for you guys.
Exciting report, thank you. IU 13, Director Murray.
I don't know how I can live up to that report. That was exciting. Other than the January minutes and the January news that was included in your board news, I don't have any other report.
Great, thank you. Legislative Liaison Director Kimball Tazinski.
Nothing new or big right now.
Thank you. And then PSBA Director Bucks.
No report at this time.
Great, thank you. Is there any new business for the good of the order? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned.